Morning, everybody, because I'm okay, yeah, got it. Because I'm in a different time zone. I'm in Holland. Probably the other moments we meet up, I will be in the United States, which will be a little bit more challenging because it's probably at midnight then, but we'll see how that works out. I'm the managing director for the Center for Evidence-Based Management. And what is the Center for Evidence-Based Management? Oh, that is actually a place on the internet where you can find a lot of resources. So please go there when you have time. There's a lot of stuff that you can download. There's a lot of background information. Most of the papers that we refer to in the course, you can find them there. You can find a lot of books and presentations. But actually, we started as a group of people, mostly academics, that were kind of whining about the fact that hardly any of their research was used, and they were very disappointed and sad. So they made this point, and they looked a little bit like medicine, and they thought, wow, that's great. Over there, they have this thing called evidence-based medicine. We should do something similar. So that's how it started. But nowadays, actually, all these clever people you see here from Carnegie Mellon and Harvard, etc., are no longer the most important people in our organization. We have a whole bunch of fellow members. We have ordinary members, about 400 or 500, but we also have fellow members, and Lisa is one of them. Her face is up there. I can't see her that fast, but these are all people that somehow make a contribution to the case of evidence-based management by either teaching it or promoting this in their organization or writing about this. So if you finish this course and you also promote this within your organization, maybe your face will be up here as well, and you can become a fellow of the center. So what do we do? Well, obviously, we promote evidence-based practice. We give a lot of talks, we write papers, there are blogs, there are tweets, etc. But our main focus is education. So we teach evidence-based practice at this moment. I think there are about 80 or 90 universities that use elements of evidence-based practice in their teaching. And that's also why we have developed these online learning modules that are used by a lot of universities right now. But we also train and coach people within organizations. Usually they're projects. So we teach people within a project to take an evidence-based approach to an issue in their organization. And finally, what we do, we support organizations. We're kind of a BS, a bullshit detector. So there are these ideas that are promoted by a consulting firm, and they say, oh, you all should do agile, or you should do talent management, or you should do this. And then they bring us in and they say, okay, so, this is something that almost everybody does. Is this something that we should get into, or is there any evidence supporting that this will work? That's the final thing that we do, mainly for organizations. And we write summaries of evidence reviews. Chatham House rules, I think you're better positioned to explain this, Lisa.
So hands up who doesn't know what Chatham House rules are. See, everybody knows what they are, Eric. Eric's never heard of Chatham House rules. But basically, throughout this course, one of the best ways, of course, that we will learn together is, of course, by sharing examples. And more often than not, those examples will come from our own organizations. And given that we all collectively work across the same wonderful sector, we'll learn things about each other's organizations where maybe sometimes we've made decisions that aren't necessarily based on evidence, and they make for really, really good storytelling in the group. So we do have the Chatham House rules, where if you do share about an experience or an example from your own organization, or from maybe an example, from another organization that you've worked in, or a meeting you've been in within the sector, then we would ask you to apply, of course, the rule that what we discuss here remains confidential to this group and is for the purpose of learning only. So that's why we put that disclaimer at the front. So we'll go into the next slide. So why are we all here today? Why have you all come on this course? And I've had a hypothesis for a while when it comes to leadership, that any leader in the sector, in our sector, really wants to be as effective as they possibly can be. And it's what drove my passion for evidence-based leadership. So a few years ago now, I undertook some research. I'm going to skip through the results, but basically I did a systematic literature review where I wanted to understand what the research told us about what makes an effective leader in the human services context, and predominantly in the non-profit sector. There was only 22 studies that came up in that systematic literature review, and you'll learn throughout this course about the quality of evidence, and that a systematic literature review is of a higher quality of evidence than just doing a single design study. And pretty much what it came back and told me was that in our sector, you won't be surprised to understand that most of the leaders in our sector that are effective come from a values-based leadership style. They're altruistic leaders, they're very good at bringing groups together, they're very authentic, they do produce higher levels of performance in the system at large. They help others achieve improved outcomes. They tend to have a more of a relational leadership style. You're probably all thinking about yourself now going, yeah, tick, 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 I'm ticking this box. And they're highly ethical. But when it comes to ethical-based decision-making, what was kind of a little bit of an anomaly in my research was, in being ethical and making sure that we do no harm in making the right decision, we really do need to understand the evidence we use in making those decisions. And we need to understand the quality of the evidence we use. So that led me to do a bit of a qualitative study with an acknowledged group of leaders in the sector, very prestigious leaders, quite well known. 60% were female, 40% were male, 25% were Indigenous. We had some really powerful Aboriginal leaders in this cohort. Average age was 58, 27 years of experience, and across multiple jurisdictions working in the non-profit human services sector. And what the study told me is that most of these leaders made their decisions based on gut instinct. And here's a couple of quotes from that research. My gut tells me this is the right thing to do, always that. In other areas, it's very difficult to have a balance. In my strategically led decisions, one feeling I have is a gut feel, and I make emotional decisions based off experience and judgment. Now, that may be okay for us to make gut decisions. It may be okay for us to make emotional decisions, but it's not the only way we should make decisions. So that really kind of sparked my interest then to say, well, how can I remove that bias from my own decision making? And it led me down the pathway of understanding about evidence-based management. Now, many of you may know that in our sector, in Victoria in particular, we have had multiple reports into out-of-home care. And when I did my research, and this is going back 4 years now, there were at the time 40 reports just into out-of-home care. Since then, there's been another 20 added if you start counting the various reports across Australia. And, that just in the last 2 years, if you think about the Children's Commissioner here in Victoria, she's done about 6 major inquiries. This is going back 4 years ago. And constantly what comes up in all of these inquiries is it's almost like, it's the definition of insanity. The same recommendations keep coming up, yet we still keep repeating the same practices, and we kind of never really learn from that. So that also then took me to sort of think about, well, why is it that we are these great leaders, we're highly ethical, we're altruistic, we're values-based, yet we can't seem to make evidence-based decisions, and we get data after data after data, report after report after report, yet we still seem to be making the same mistakes. So go to the next slide. Now, there is some research that tells us that effective leadership is actually underpinned by evidence-based leadership interventions, and that policymakers, managers of agencies such as the ones we all work in should consider nurturing effective leadership via evidence-based leader development interventions, which, I would suspect is why you're all here today. But just more recently, what's happened in the last kind of couple of years is we've had COVID, right? And at the beginning of COVID, there was a bit of a void of research into understanding as to how we were going to combat COVID. And then what we saw over the last couple of years was this massive number of trials, clinical trials, into how we could develop an effective vaccination so we could all kind of feel safe in COVID and get out the other side of COVID. And, you know, there's too many RCTs to count, but there is, you know, you can go to a website which can show you all of the clinical trials that have occurred in the last number of years. And at the same time, during this period of time, something called the Evidence Commission was set up, and it grew out of a global network of 55 partners, which were part of this COVID-19 evidence network to support decision-making. It was called COVID End, you know, end of COVID. And they came together to provide a more coordinated evidence response to COVID-19. And they first identified then a need for an evidence commission. And that commission brought together 25 commissioners, government policymakers, organizational leaders, professional citizens to address a range of societal challenges in their respective roles. Now, they've recently released an evidence commission report, which quote unquote is called A Wake-Up Call and a Pathway Forward for Decision Makers, Evidence Intermediaries and Impact-Orientated Evidence Producers. It's in 7 languages, and I'm happy to send you the link after this meeting. And I just pulled out here one of the 2 recommendations, which basically said that it was calling on every citizen to consider the many ways that they can use the best evidence in everyday life, so they can consider influencing politicians and others to get to evidence-based decision making. So this movement is really quite large now. So you're really going to enjoy this course because it's going to absolutely teach you how to live and breathe what's in that report as well. So on that note, we're going to do some sharing about who you are, 20 seconds each, your job and where you work. And I might do a roll call so that we can go in alphabetical order. How's that sound? So we're going to start with Anne King.
Hi everyone, I'm Anne. It's lovely to meet you. I'm coming from Awabakal and I'm the Executive Director Partnerships and Advocacy at Auschardt.
Thank you, Anne. Anastasia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Lisa and Eric. I'm Anastasia Panayotides. I go by the pronouns she, her, hers. I have the honour and privilege of working, living, playing on Wurundjeri country here in Heidelberg, Melbourne, Victoria. And the organisation I work for is Good Shepherd, Australia, New Zealand. We've got a number of members from our team and colleagues here. Great to see everyone, and also to see everyone from other organisations. And thanks so much for the introduction. My role is General Manager of Clinical Governance, and evidence-based practice is very important for clinical governance. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Anastasia. And yeah, welcome all Good Shepherd crew. Dare.
Oh. I'm Dare Kavanagh. I'm also at Good Shepherd, and I am the regional manager for our No Interest Loans program. I'm greeting you today from the cloudy, rainy lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. And I'm very happy to be here in the program. Thank you very much, Lisa and Eric.
Thank you, Dare. Welcome. And from Good Shepherd as well, Wendy Brown.
Oh, hi Lisa, hi Eric. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Wendy Brown. I'm the National Program Manager for Financial Capability, also at Good Shepherd. So I've been at the organisation for about 18 months, and evidence-based outcomes and programs are absolutely critical to what we do in all of our client-facing work. So really looking forward to this session. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Wendy. And Andrea.
Hi everyone, my name's Andrea Velez. I'm from MacKillop Family Services and my role there is Learning and Development Manager, and today I'm on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Andrea. Welcome, MacKillop too. And from Anglicare, Angela.
Hi, my name's Angela Morris. I'm Program Manager for Family Services in the outer east of Melbourne. And yes, I just need to let you know that I'm going to need to be mobile at 5 o'clock. So I'm going to have my camera off and be in the car.
I think you got children's sporting activities, yeah?
Yes, pretty much.
Thanks for that, really, and welcome. Okay, we got Annie.
Hi, my name is Annie Shirley. I work in a research and development management role for a small organisation up on the border of Victoria and New South Wales in Wodonga. We Junction Support Services, and we have a few other team members here today.
Oh, it's lovely to have Junction Support Services here. Wonderful organisation. Welcome. And Catherine Ryan, Good Shepherd.
Thank you. Lovely to be here. I'm the Program Manager for Family and Youth Services for Good Shepherd. I'm very privileged to be on Wurundjeri country today and really looking forward to being part of this group. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. And of course, Anne introduced herself from Australd earlier, so it's lovely to see Anne again. I've seen her twice today, so I'm three times the trick. But now we've also got Dale from Australd.
Hi guys, Dale. I'm the Director of In-Home Care in Victoria, and I'm coming to you from a very sunny Boonwurrung country on Phillip Island here in Victoria.
Yeah, we let people live in the nicest places at Australd. And Darcy.
Hi, I'm Darcy Hayden, so I'm also from Good Shepherd. I'm the Head of Telephone and Online, and I'm also coming to you from Wurundjeri country in Thornbury in Melbourne.
Lovely to meet you. And Erin.
Hi everyone, I'm Erin Price. I'm the Program Manager for our Family Violence Services, also at Good Shepherd. So nice to see you all. And I'm coming to you today from Boonwurrung land.
Lovely to see you, Erin. Now let me see if I do this justice. Francois.
Yes, that's right. It's from Francoise Legal. I'm from SSI, which is Settlement Services International. I'm the Program Manager of the Multicultural Foster Care Program here in Victoria. Hi, everyone.
It's nice to see you, Francois. I love SSI, fabulous organisation. Heather?
Good Shepherd crew. I'm calling in from Wurundjeri land for my Kulin Nation here in Melbourne. I'm the Acting General Manager of Financial Inclusion and Access, so our microfinance space.
Cool. Thanks, Heather. And Jo. Where are you from, Jo?
Hi everyone, my name is Jo Green. I'm a Senior Practice Leader within Territory Families, Housing and Communities, so child protection essentially in the Northern Territory. I'm usually on Arundel land in Alice Springs, but at the moment this is a lovely little caravan in Warramunga country in Tennant Creek.
How exciting. Yes, I forgot. We have got a wonderful group of people joining us from the Northern Territory. How awesome is that? That's really cool. So welcome. Right, so that was Jo. Liv.
Hi everyone, I'm joining as well from Wurundjeri land today. Liv Sin from Each, and I'm a Manager Service Design. Really great to be here. Looking forward to it.
Just up the road from me, Each. What a wonderful organisation. Thanks for joining us, Liv. And we've also got Livia.
Hi everyone, I almost responded to Liv. So given that my name's Livia, I do often get called Liv. I'm also from Good Shepherd. I'm the Acting General Manager for Safety and Resilience Services, which includes the programs that Erin oversees, the ones that Catherine oversees, and an alternative school setting in New South Wales. And I'm coming to you today from the lands of the Wurundjeri people.
Wonderful. Well, Livia, Liv, lovely to have you online today. And now we got the wonderful Lynette, my good friend.
Who was a bit slow to unmute herself. Thank you. Lovely to be here, Lisa. I'm on Boonwurrung land. I'm in Narre Warren. I'm Lynette Boy. I'm the CEO for Windermere Child and Family Services, and I've just left Phillip Island first thing this morning, so I'm a bit jealous that that's where you are right now. So thank you.
It's a wonderful organisation, Windermere. Just love them. Welcome, Lynette. And we've also got, now, did I say it right earlier? Margia, is that right? Did I pronounce it right?
Oh, it's just Maria. Good old Maria. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Dragic. I work with Windermere Child and Family Services as the Manager of Evidence, Innovation and Practice.
Welcome, Maria. And Megan.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan Turner. I'm the Manager for People and Capability for Windermere Child and Family Services, and I am a couple of offices down from Lynette on Bunurong land.
Another lovely Windermere person. Nice to meet you, Megan. I think we've got Michelle from Windermere too.
No, Michelle, we've got a Sean and a Rakesh floating around somewhere.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was, did I see a Michelle? No.
Yeah, there's a Michelle, sorry, just from Junction Support Services. So I'm Michelle, I'm Junction Support Services. I'm the Chief Operations Officer there. I'm really excited to be part of this course and see where it takes the organisation. There's a few other people here from Junction today, and I'm also on Wurundjeri land.
Nice to see you, Michelle. You've got the same icon as Megan, so that's why I thought maybe you were both. I was going to, it's like I don't know if you can see that, but.
Oh, there's another Megan from Junction here today too.
Oh, okay.
That's probably why.
I might just go because I think I jumped in over Megan Turner. So hi Megan, how you going? There's two of us, so I might just go now so then you don't skip us. So I'm Megan Hanley, I'm CEO at Junction Support Services. Really great to have some people from Junction here as well and to be part of this group, and really hoping to include some more evidence-based leadership in our organisation moving forward. So thank you. Nice to be with you, Lisa and Eric.
Thanks, the other Megan. So Megan Turner, have we done you as well? Have we just, or we haven't done you? No.
Yeah, I think I must have jumped ahead. Sorry, Megan Hanley. I heard Windermere and I got excited. Windermere and Lynette and Megan, and that was it.
All right, and we'll go to Penny then.
Hi everyone, Penny Bolton. I'm the Manager of Quality and Compliance at Brophy Family and Youth Services. We are based in Warrnambool in southwest Victoria. We're on the land of the Gunditjmara people of the Maar Nation, and very excited about this course, the second person to do it, and we're really working towards being a more evidence-informed organisation. So this is a big step in that direction. Thank you.
Well, we really enjoyed having Francis on the course last time, and we love Brophy, just an awesome organisation.
Absolutely. Yeah, he spoke very highly of this course, so I'm very excited to be here. Thanks, Lisa.
Lovely to see you. Now we are going, Rakesh, definitely back to the wonderful Windermere.
Hi everyone, I'm Rakesh. I'm a Group Finance Manager at Windermere, based out of Narre Warren / Tumor, Pakenham.
Wonderful, lovely to see you. And Sean, who's been powering away. Sean, I've noticed that you've been working hard over the long weekend doing your subjects.
I have. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, so I'm just a wee bit ahead. Good afternoon and good morning. Sean Coleman. I'm the Manager of Family Health and Wellbeing at Windermere Child and Family Services, coming to you from the land of the Bunurong, Boonwurrung people. And Dale, I'll be able to wave at you when I walk my 4 dogs on the beach of Summers, and wave across to Phillip Island. Only 4, Lisa, I'm sorry.
Only 4, yes, that's right. Well, I'll be down 6 in a few weeks. If anybody wants to buy a puppy, let me know. Shane.
Hello everyone, Shane Medcraft from Junction Support Services as well, and yeah, I too echo the sentiments of Megan, Michelle and Annie that we're looking forward to picking up some wonderful tips to take forward with our organisation.
And Shane, is your background your actual background, or is that a photograph?
No, that's my background. That's what I look at the back of my home.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
that's beautiful.
You've got the tick.
I wish. No, it's a Zoom background.
Oh, you had me there. It looks gorgeous, but welcome. Lovely to have you. And oh, we got Stuart. So good to see you, Stuart.
Good to see you too, Lisa. So hello, everybody. I'm Stuart. I'm currently acting regional director, usually operations manager for Life Without Barriers. I look after the intensive therapeutic care homes in the southern and western part of the state. And I'm currently speaking to you from the Washington land here in Orange, New South Wales.
Lovely to see you again.
Thanks.
And okay. Next on my list is T Black. Hey there. No, I can see you're lit up. But okay, we'll maybe come back to you in a second. So apologies if I haven't got your Christian name. And Vicky.
Hello, I'm Vicky Haddon. I'm a senior practice leader with Territory Families, which is in Darwin, Northern Territory.
Lovely to see you, Vicky. We lost you a little bit there, but yeah, you're coming to us from the Northern Territory, which is super exciting. Hopefully you can hear us loud and clear. Wendy. I think you're on mute, Wendy.
Sorry, Lisa, I've already done my introduction unless there's another Wendy on the...
that's right, you did.
That's okay?
You did as well, yes.
Not a problem.
I just want to check.
I haven't done my introduction.
Right, there you go. Oh, you have to. Have you done your, no? Have you done yours, Ramesh? No, over to you.
No. Hi, everyone. I'm Ramesh Kumar. I work at Good Shepherd, Australia and New Zealand. I look after an area that provides services, financial capability and financial independence and micro enterprises services at Good Shepherd. Wendy, Lou, and are from my team here, and a lot of other colleagues. Good to see all of you.
Lovely to see you too, Ramesh. Now we've got Lisa from the centre.
Hello, sorry, apologies, I've just jumped in from another meeting. But my name's Lisa Abbey. I'm the Acting Manager of Social Research and Policy at the Centre.
Welcome, Lisa. Good to see you. And I think last but no means least, unless is Mandy, and then we might see if T Black is able to say hi. But Mandy?
Hi, I'm Mandy Charman. I'm the manager of the Outcome Practice and Evidence Network, and I'm privileged to sit in with these great leaders. And I work in the Centre for Excellence in Child and Family Welfare, like Lisa does. Hello, Lisa.
Now, is there anyone else that I've missed or we haven't heard from? Your name and where you're from? No? Great. Well, as you can tell, fabulous group. So we're going to have a lot of fun. But we'll get into it now. So I will throw back to Eric, who's going to share a little bit about today, what we're going to do.
Yes, I will share. There we go. There we go. So we're with a lot of people on the group, and that's why we decided to split it up. You already noticed that everyone, explained 30 minutes about their 30 seconds about their background. That's already, 50 minutes. So that's why we kept it short. Next time when we meet up, we have split the group, and there's an opportunity for a little bit more interaction. But for now, I want to go through a handful of slides about what is evidence-based management, where does it come from, and also emphasize why do we need it. Then we will explain a little bit about the registration and the modules. Maybe some of you already started. I think most of you already started, but maybe some of you are still struggling. And then we have a breakout session if there's enough time for that. So maybe you already done the first module, and you would say, why do we go over again about what it is? Well, we learned from the people from medicine that's actually one of the most important pieces of advice they gave us was, listen, Eric, if you start this whole evidence-based stuff, you need to explain over and over and over again what it is, because there are so many misconceptions about what it is. So that is a very important thing to focus on. So what is it? Well, let's assume that next weekend you have a party or you meet up with people and people ask you, so how was your week? And you say, well, nice. By the way, I started a course on evidence-based management. And people say, sorry, what's that? And what do you say? Now, you can't, repeat the whole first module and refer to the book. So you need a kind of evidence sort of elevator pitch where you explain in 30 seconds what it is. I'm not going to be able to do that, but I'm going to wrap it up for you in a few sentences at the end, so you can use it to explain other people what it is, but it also helps you to get a better understanding. So the central idea of evidence-based practice or decision-making or whatever you call it is that decisions you make in your organization should be based on the best available evidence. Now, you may say, Eric, that's not very helpful because what is the best available evidence? Good point. Now, let's first have a look at the term evidence. For me, as a non-native speaker, I'm inclined to translate it as proof. There's a reason why we use the word evidence, because evidence is actually a fancy word for information or facts or data, but not in itself. It's information, facts, or data supporting or contradicting a claim, an assumption, an idea, or a hypothesis. So it's never something in itself. It's always referring to a claim or an hypothesis or an assumption. So that's the first thing. And what counts as evidence? Well, actually, everything can count as evidence. It can come from scientific research. That is something that is emphasized frequently in evidence-based approaches, but it can also come from your own organization. Your organization acquires and probably has available a lot of figures and numbers and facts. That also counts as evidence. Benchmarking, best practices, even personal experience. And now you may say, Eric, that's kind of weird, because then actually, can you make a non-evidence-based decision? There's always something. Yeah, that's kind of true. But when we say evidence-based, we don't mean just the use of evidence in general. It goes a little bit further than that. It's true that everyone uses some kind of evidence to make a decision, unless you have a crystal ball, although you could argue maybe that's a source of evidence. But the thing is that only a few people, or not too many people, pay attention to the quality of the evidence. How trustworthy is the evidence that's now on the table? And the other thing is they tend to use only a few sources of evidence, usually their own experience or the experience of other people. So we're very experience-based. Is that a source of evidence? Yes. Is it the best available? No, because it's only one source, and often the quality, the trustworthy of the evidence is not critically appraised. So this guy here, I'm not sure if you recognize him. This is Ricky Gervais in The Office. In the United States, they have Steve Carell, and he plays this dodgy management character, and he says, listen, trust me, I have 20 years of management experience. Would that be an evidence-based decision? Yeah, 20 years of management experience is indeed evidence. Yeah, it counts. But this is only one source. So there we go. We need more sources. And the second is, how trustworthy is the 20 years of management experience of this guy? Maybe he's making mistakes for 20 years over and over and over again. And that is actually not a very reliable source of evidence, and certainly not the best available source of evidence. So it's more than just one source, and it also includes critical appraisal. So that's why we often use this little graphic here that sort of summarizes the whole evidence-based approach. Again, it's just a model, so it's by definition it's wrong, but here are 4 sources of evidence that you should take into account. Maybe you can come up with a 5th source or a 6th source, but if you make a decision, at least try to think about, could there be research on this topic? And we mean empirical studies. How do professional experienced people in my organization, maybe they have experience with it, how do they judge the situation? Do we have data in the organization that we could use to make a better decision or to inform us? And of course, you will notice that stakeholders' values and concerns, certainly in your domain, is a very important, very determining source of evidence. And you can see problem and solution. Because when we think about evidence-based practice, we think about evidence-based solutions. We like to come up with solution. I think we refer in the course to it as whole solutioneering. So we bring in solutions or new ideas or new ways of working or new model without asking, but actually, what is the problem we're trying to solve? Because as you will learn in the module on asking questions, an evidence-based approach always starts with one and always the same question. What is the problem you're trying to solve? That is very important that we don't neglect that. And then the question is, what is the evidence that we have this problem, that this problem is actually very serious and this problem is urgent? And then you look at the 4 sources. Finally, in the middle, you see ask, acquire, appraise. You will recognize this from the online courses. These are the steps you go through. You ask the questions, you see their deficiencies or gaps in the evidence base, you acquire the evidence from these sources, you critically appraise it, then you all put it together, you aggregate it, you apply it, and if you're absolutely a good learner, you will then assess the outcome of your decision. So it's a process. So here's a definition, a lot of words, but what you should take into account is that it's a process. It's not an ideology. It's not an attitude. An attitude is very important to have an inquisitive mindset, but you go through steps. You ask questions, acquire the evidence. There are skills involved that you learn now through these course modules. It's not about certainties. The outcome of an evidence-based approach is like, okay, this is all clear. We should do A, not do B. No, the outcome is a likelihood. If we do this, if we do A, the outcome that we're aiming for is more likely to be achieved than when we do B. It's never a certainty, and that's hard for us. You will learn about probabilities, and for you as a manager, certainly for me it was as a manager, because we managers are trained about certainties. Okay, let's get this done, let's do this, and then we, get this outcome. No, we now need to think like a physician in terms of probabilities. We can give you this medication, we can give you this treatment. That most of the people respond well to the treatment and 90% actually are without symptoms. It's about probabilities and not so much about certainties. So we also have a book. I would recommend to buy it. We don't make any money out of it. By the way, if you write a review on Amazon, we will reimburse you even when the review is scathing and negative. We don't care. If you buy the book and write a review, we'll reimburse you. But it's nice that modules are only accessible for a limited period of time, for a year. Or maybe a little bit longer. And if you want to look up something, there's so much information. It helps you, to find information for a specific situation or a specific decision you need to make later on. So be aware that this book is there available for you. Now, did we invent this stuff? Did Lisa and I sit down with a glass of wine and said, hey, this is a great idea. Let's do some courses on evidence-based management. No, this is something that was not invented by us. This was invented by two guys, David Sackett and Gordon Guyatt, two physicians in medicine in McMaster School. They started with it, but actually when they introduced this early 90s, it slowly spilled over to other domains, education, etc. Some examples here. This is the Center for Evidence-Based Medicine. These are our colleagues. We are the Center for Evidence-Based Management. So we have a little A, CEPMA, and they are CEBM, Center for Evidence-Based Medicine. They're in Oxford. Center for Evidence-Based Policing. Who knew? Is there evidence-based policing? Yeah, there is. There are serious questions about wearing a body cam. Does that prevent, from officers to be too violent? Does it help? All kinds of things. There's a lot of research that police officers, but in specific police organizations in Australia, in Canada, the United States, but also in Scotland, evidence-based policing is very popular, and they all use evidence to make better decisions and come up with better policies. Evidence-based policy. Did you know that the members of parliament in the UK all did a crash course of 2 or 3 hours on evidence-based management? This was after the Brexit, of course, you will understand that. But evidence-based policy in the United States is also a big thing. Evidence-based education, the way we train and educate children at schools. Do we do this in an evidence-based way, or is it the next fad that we introduce into the school systems? So there's so much stuff. I mean, you can go on. Even we found one on agriculture. Who knew? I didn't, but apparently there's something like evidence-based agriculture. And even in Australia, there are also local centers of all kinds of evidence-based topics that they promote and support their workers to make more evidence-based decisions. Now, you can see that this evidence-based stuff is all over the place, all over domains and whatsoever. So if you say, oh, Eric, but you call it evidence-based management, to be honest, I'm a leader. Okay, sure, whatever. Then you're an evidence-based leader. And when you say, well, I'm not really a leader or manager, I'm more like a consultant, whatever, evidence-based consultancy. If you're an orthopedic surgeon, evidence-based orthopedic surgery, doesn't matter. We all have these two things in common. It's always about multiple sources of evidence, not only one, and critically evaluate. So when someone asks you, what is this evidence-based stuff? You say, well, if I boil it down, it means that you make decisions based on multiple sources of evidence. And it's not just the use of evidence, but it's also the use of critically evaluated evidence. So we learn a lot about how to figure out whether evidence is indeed trustworthy, yes or no. So why do we need it? Well, we already gave a lot of examples in the modules, but this is a saying or quote by Mark Twain that actually sums it up. It's not so much what gets you into trouble, it's actually the stuff that you know for sure that just ain't so. If you know things for sure, you're not inclined to look for evidence of the contrary. If you are uncertain, you will. So the pitfall is when you think you know stuff for sure. Here are a few examples. This guy, I won't show you the whole video, but we know this guy knows a lot of things for sure. In the United States, by the way, there's a huge pushback also among Republicans to take a more evidence-based approach and to see whether there's common ground in the evidence that, suggests whether something will work or not.
Nobody can.
Oh, there he goes. The video is there. We're going to share, by the way, the slides so you can have a look at this little video and have a laugh. But here's a more serious example. Dr. Spock, you may have heard of the guy. He's not the guy from Star Trek, but he was one of the most famous pediatrician. Ask your parents, probably they had the book. And his recommendation was it's safer for babies to sleep face down when you lie them to sleep. And this got support until the 90s. And it sounded plausible, makes sense. However, when we look at the evidence, we can see these are numbers from Holland, a huge uptake of the number of cot deaths. And it turns out actually that lying babies asleep on their face is the one number risk factor for cot deaths. So that is something we knew for sure that turned out to be very, very harmful. So taking a critical approach like, okay, this seems like a no-brainer, but still, is there any evidence to support this, or is it just something that we all think makes sense? Here's another example in child welfare. This is the program called Scared Straight. You may have heard of it, but if you look it up on the internet or YouTube, you can see spectacular videos of these young little criminals that do nasty things, and the idea is, yeah, you know, bring them to the prison and let them stay there for a day, and then all these lifers, all these hard dudes will then show them how the world looks like if you're in prison. That will scare them straight. Makes sense, you know, if you don't listen, you'll end up here, and that will be bad, so you should behave. Doesn't work. Turns out actually that programs such as Scared Straight increase delinquency relative to doing nothing. So it harms the children rather than supporting them. In our field, there are many examples. This is actually a very old example, but still very shocking. So here are some statements. Incompetent people benefit more from feedback than highly competent. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, if people are very competent, what can you teach them? And when you have people with little experience, yeah, they can learn a few things. Task conflict improves work group performance. Relational conflict, ooh, that's bad, that really harms it. And another one, encouraging employees to participate in decision making is a very effective way to make decisions and to improve organizational performance. Way better, of course, than setting top-down performance goals. We won't ask you how you feel or vote, is this true or not, because we don't want to embarrass you. And you may say, hey, I'm not an HR manager, but I can tell you that based on a lot of research, all of this stuff is not likely. Now, we asked a lot of HR managers, more than 900 in the United States, more than 600 in Holland. But this research was also repeated in Australia. As you can see in the reference, Karen Sanders from the University in Sydney also did this research, and it was repeated all over and over and over. And if you ask these people about this, they had 35 statements. What do you think? Is this likely to be true or not? Or what would your judgment be? And it turns out that the outcome was not better than random chance. So the beliefs that HR managers have, by the way, same as change managers and other types of managers, is often not aligned with what we know from research to be true. So that's why we need to take an evidence-based approach, not only when we don't know the answer or don't know what we should decide because we're insecure, we don't have enough information, but also to check your assumptions. Always check your assumptions, even when big shot consulting firms say, oh, this is a new model, you should do this. Check the evidence, be critical. Now, not sure whether you have all already registered for the modules. We saw most of you started with the modules, some of you have not. But you have received a PDF with information on how to access them. There's also a help desk. If you look at the top of your screen, you will see help. If you click that, there's a help desk. We will also give you the email of the help desk, but you can also directly email me or Lisa if you have questions, and we can see if we can help you out. If you haven't received the email on how to register, let us know, and then we help you out and make sure you get access. This is the overview. We are with a lot of people. There's way more interest in taking an evidence-based approach. mostly through Lisa's good work, but also the hearsay that comes from previous participants. They all feel it adds value for them and helps them to make better decisions. So we have more people than we anticipated. That means we want to be more interactive with you because we now have a large group. Therefore, we have split up the group and there are dates for you to choose from. We're still working on the August date. I think this morning we set a date, but we'll let you know. That means that you can decide either to go, for instance, the workshop in July, to take the 12th July or the July 26th. We'll inform you about this. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and go to Lisa, I think.
Yes. So fantastic. So we're at 5 o'clock. So we do have time to split the group into two. So we're going to a breakout room randomly. Half of you is going to end up with the lovely Eric and the other half will end up with me. And we're just going to spend about 15, 20 minutes together, sort of brainstorming about your approach to evidence-based management currently. So when you get randomly assigned in a second, whoever you end up with will give you the instructions on what you're doing. And then when we have had, if we come back, Eric, about 20 past 5.
Yep.
Then, so we'll have 20 minutes to discuss. And then we'll come back and share a bit as a broader group before we kind of round out the rest of this session today. So if anybody doesn't get assigned to a group and you're stuck, just send me or Mandy an email. We'll keep our eyes on email looking for you. So Mandy, do you want to find the groups?
Did you want me to put any instructions in the chat, or you'll be there and just take people through a discussion?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah, that's the plan. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So I'm still here.
You're still there. I don't know why that would be. Hold on. So I came back because chat apps or breakout rooms. Here we go. So why aren't you there? Okay, hold on.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Sorry about that. I've got a dash. I called. I sent an email just earlier today because I only found out about the training course tonight, and I've got a few things I need to do from 5 o'clock with kids going here, there, and everywhere. Unfortunately, tonight I just didn't have enough time to prepare some support at home. So I've got to dash off now, but I'll join the next one and get the modules done as well.
Good luck. Lovely to see you. See you next time.
Nice to see you. Apologies for that. Take care.
No worries. Bye.
Dare, are you there?
Okay, I think we're all back, Eric. How'd you go in your room? My room was amazing. And you're on mute. Still on mute.
Ours was too, Lisa. Ours was great.
I was saying ours was even better. No, there were a few things that I think is worthwhile to share with the group. One of the of our room members pointed out, actually everyone acknowledged it, they were surprised by the complexity and that there's so much stuff out there. I mean, there's a lot of information, a lot of things. And I think that's a good point to realize that, yes, if you start with this, it's like riding a bike. At the beginning, you fall over and there's so much stuff to take into account. But you will learn when you proceed that it gets easier and you jump on the bike, and all these little details that you had to take into account are actually going way, way, way faster. What I would like to mention, and we will send you the link, is that we have podcasts for every module. And that's actually where these things are discussed. So for instance, in the first podcast about the first module, the podcast host also brings forward, Karen, wow, when I started, I said, there's so much stuff here. How do I apply this, in a daily practice? So it helps to listen to the podcast as well. I would certainly recommend this. And finally, we also discussed decisions, and yeah, we all need to take a more evidence-based approach. That seems to be that we're all in agreement of. And we also discussed that the first step is maybe make sure you have multiple sources, because often there are gaps. Stakeholder evidence is missing. Evidence from the organization is often missing. And then the next step, start with that. And the next step is have a look at the quality of the evidence that's on the table. That's what we broadly discussed.
Yeah, and we did have an opportunity to discuss with some in the group, those that had completed the first kind of couple of modules, and the key, what a key takeaway was, and probably, very consistent that people had great insight into maybe not quite making the most evidence-based decisions as they should, and mostly relying on one source of evidence. And in some cases, there was an example where they would use 3 sources of evidence, but not critically appraising the 3 sources of evidence. And of course, we were sharing as well that it's unusual to sort of use in our sector to have access to scientific data so readily, because unless you subscribe to a university, you don't necessarily have, the ability to go into academic databases. So I was sharing, Eric, that as part of the course, there will be access through Centre for Evidence-Based Management to use the databases there, and that if people, when they've finished the course, want to join the Centre for Evidence-Based Management, the membership fees is quite a small membership fee, but it does give you ongoing access to those databases too, should people pursue wanting to look at academic journals once they've had the tools and the skills to be able to, because we can teach you how to critique research articles pretty quickly in the future. So that's to come. So it's a watch this space. But for now, we had some great examples too, Eric, around management decisions or lack of evidence-based decisions. One very costly decision of procuring a piece of software for an organization that's without any evidence as to whether it would work, so a bit of solutioneering, and it's not being used 4 years later. So now there's a review into the piece of software that was purchased, which is we really appreciate the candidacy of everybody sharing. So good dialogue and great great insights by everybody.
Okay. We have a few more slides that we would like to discuss. Next time we meet up with each other, you have completed, I hope, the modules on the first source of evidence, which is evidence from practitioner, from experienced people in your organization. That's two modules that are a lot about biases and stuff like that. How do you collect evidence from practitioners? And how do you do this in a way that it's valid and reliable? And then it's about how do you critically appraise? How do you know whether the experience from one of your seasoned people in your organization is actually valid and reliable? That's what it is about, and you learn a lot about biases. But what we would like to ask you for next time, let me share my screen again, is, there we go, it is up, is some homework, and this is for module 3. Have a look in your organization, what type of questionnaires are used. Could be questionnaires for your clients, but also that would be maybe also interesting, questionnaires that are used for employees, for staff members. Set surveys about job satisfaction. Shane explained us about that there's a survey that runs frequently in the organization. There's this annual appraisal thing often in organizations, but again, also maybe for clients. Pick one questionnaire and assess the quality of the questions asked. How? You will learn in the third module. And then make suggestions to improve the wording. Don't be embarrassed when you come up with a questionnaire and it's absolute crap, because that is the thing that happens often. You will be surprised of the bad quality of the questionnaires in your organization, but bring them, or bring one, make suggestions for improvement, and we can have a look at it. That's the first assignment for next time. The second one is make a belief or take a belief or assumption. Go away. There we go. Preferably by a colleague. So a colleague makes a claim based on his or her professional experience. Well, I know from experience, well, my experience is da-di-da. And try to critically appraise the trustworthiness of the evidence. You will learn in the module about critical appraisal of evidence from practitioners, the module number 4, how to do that and the things you have to be aware of. But please, obviously, do this in a respectful but slightly critical way. Don't get into a fight. Just ask, like, okay, so this is your experience. May I ask you, how often how did you find out about this? Were you personally involved? And how often have you been in this situation? Ask the questions that are discussed in module number 4 in a respectful way to figure out what the trustworthiness of the evidence is. That's for next week. Lisa, over to you.
So as for the next time we catch up, so before the next time we catch up, Mandy's just put in the chat there that there's 2 options for the next session. So we will be sort of splitting this group roughly into 2 halves of the same size, but you can sort of choose your preference. And I guess that sometimes if it works better to go to one session than the other, then, you know, obviously feel free to select which one suits you best, but we'll try and keep, we'll assign you, and if it doesn't work, we'll move you around. But from today, so you'll get an email from Mandy, and I'll send you an email tomorrow, which will include a link to the slides from today, also to that report I mentioned from the Evidence Commission. I'll send you a link as well to the book on evidence-based management. And I'll send you a copy of those 2 homework questions, so that then when we And I'll remind her in a few weeks as well, so that when we come back, we will run through the modules 3 and 4, and then we'll get everybody to talk about their assignments and how they went with critiquing the surveys and asking those questions of a leaf assumption of claim that Eric ran through there. And if you don't get time to do both assignments, then pick one or the other. But some people like to overachieve, some people like to just do enough. It'll be up to you. What you put in is what you'll get out, so to speak. But before we conclude on this first get together, is there any questions from anybody about today or the course itself? Feel free to throw your hand up in the air now.
No, I don't see any hands. No barriers or issues or confusions. Great, good.
Well, on that note then, good luck with, if you haven't done modules 1 and 2, good luck with them. And for those that have already done them, good luck with 3 and 4. But if you could have all done 1, 2, 3, and 4 by the next time we meet, that will be great, because when we meet the following time, if you fall behind at the beginning, the modules as they go on progressively get a little bit harder. So it's good to get the first 4 kind of done quickly, and it'll set you up for success for the future modules. So thanks everybody, enjoy your evening, enjoy your week, and lovely to see all of your smiling faces, and looking forward to seeing you for the next few weeks and months.
Thanks everybody.